Terence Bud Crawford, he sends a strong message to Shawn Porter. He say that he gonna do what Errol Spence and the rest of them guys that Shawn Porter fought in the past couldn't do. He knocking Shawn Porter out. Now, this fight, we've been waiting for a long time, this Shawn Porter and Terence Crawford fight. I know personally, this is a fight that I've been wanting for quite some time now. Now, Shawn Porter, he's come out and he's let Terence Crawford know, like, hey, it's levels to this. I'm already training. I don't got to get ready because I stay ready. I've been training, preparing for you. And Terence Crawford, you know, him and his team have for a long time, they've been promising a knockout of Shawn Porter. We saw Shawn Porter in with the best. We've seen him in there with Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, and even Errol Spence Jr. We've even seen him in there in the past with AB when AB was on the top of his game. You know, Adrian the Problem Broner. So Shawn Porter has fought them all. From the Andre Bertos, I mean, he's fought any and everybody you can think of at 147 pounds. But Shawn Porter has yet to be stopped by anybody. And don't let me forget Kell Brook when Kell Brook was at his absolute prime. So Shawn Porter is the creme de la creme when it comes to the 147-pound division because he's fought them all and he's given everybody that he's ever fought a very tough fight. Now, Terence Crawford, on the other hand, you know, a lot of people have been complaining for years that Terence Crawford opposition in his resume is not the strongest. They think that Terence Crawford has had an easy path when it comes to 140 and 147. Most people think that Terence Crawford is 1 or 2 on the pound for pound list, right? So now this is a fight where Terence Crawford wants to come out and he wants to make a big statement, right? He wants to show everybody why he is at the top of that pound for pound list. Terence Crawford wants to solidify his name in history, and he wants to show everybody that him being that #1 pound for pound is not a fluke. Him running through all those guys at 147 pounds like he's been doing, stopping them, it is not a fluke. And this is the fight where Terence Crawford can separate himself from the rest of the pack. Yeah, this Shawn Porter fight is put up a shut-up time for Terence Crawford because he can separate himself from the pack with this fight right here. And what I mean when I say that is, like I said, nobody has ever stopped Shawn Porter before. Nobody has ever come close to stopping Shawn Porter. Yeah, we've seen Shawn Porter get knocked down in the Adrian Broner fight. It was a flash knockdown. He wasn't hurt. We've seen Shawn Porter get knocked down in the Errol Spence fight. He wasn't hurt. He got right back up, right? So we've never even seen Shawn Porter even really hurt in the fight. A flash knockdown, that can happen to anybody. A shot that you don't see could sit you down, right? Doesn't mean that you hurt all the time. Don't mean that you rattled. But Terence Crawford, right? The ball is in his hands. The ball is in his court, right? He got the ball in his hands, right? 2 seconds left on the clock, and he got the final shot. Can he drain that final shot? Because what I'm saying about this fight, this is it for Terence Crawford. This is time after all these years for him to show up, for him to be able to do something that nobody else could do. And, you know, I spoke to Bomac, Terence Crawford's trainer, a while back about this fight. You know, we was going back and forth about this fight. And he promised me if this fight was ever made, Brian Bomac, right, Terence Crawford's trainer, he promised me that Terence Crawford will knock out Shawn Porter. He promised me that Terence Crawford would knock out Shawn Porter. And other members of Terence Crawford's camp and his family members also told me the same thing. They said if this fight is ever made, Terence Crawford will knock out Shawn Porter. Now, you got to show me to make me believe it. I don't see anybody in the division that I would pick to knock out Shawn Porter. Now, when you get to breaking down this fight, to me, I think it's going to be a very, very close fight. I think it's going to be a very highly competitive fight, and it's going to be a hell of a fight. It might be the fight of the year when it's all said and done, because we know one thing about Shawn Porter, he is going to bring the fight to you, and he's going to make you fight. And then we know another thing about Terence Crawford. With the Terence Crawford that we've seen over the past, 4, maybe 5 years, Terence Crawford has completely changed his style up. We used to see Terence Crawford when he was in the lower weight divisions. He would move around, and he was more of a pure boxer puncher. He would look to box you before anything. He used his legs in the ring a lot. Now we don't get that same Terence Crawford anymore. Terence Crawford is a fighter that's going to get right in front of you. He does have tremendous boxing skills. He's still going to use his footwork and everything, but he is going to be right there to be hit, and he's going to be right there so he can hit you. He's not going to move around the ring. He's not going to try to run around the ring a lot, like we seen him doing the Victor Postal fight. And that I can really think of, I think that I can remember myself, the Victor Postal fight was the last fight that I could really say, Terence Crawford really looked to box that fight. He looked to stay away from his opponent and use his legs. Ever since then, I can't remember a fight where Terence Crawford just looked to, use his legs and stay away from his opponent. Terence Crawford is looking to go in there and show that he can beat a bully in all his fights. Ever since probably like the Derry John fight, maybe I'll say the Diaz fight at 140, all the way up through 147. Everybody that we've seen him fight, he's adapted a dog mentality, right? If you think that you a dog, he's going to show you that he's more dog than you. You dig what I'm saying? And so with that being said, this makes for a great fight because we know Shawn Porter is a complete dog. Nobody has ever stepped in the ring with Shawn Porter, win, lose, or draw, and had an easy fight. Shawn Porter is going to always make it a very, very close fight. Don't matter who he in the ring with. You ain't never seen nobody go in there and beat Shawn Porter easily. And me, like I said, I'm going to edge Terence Crawford because, I think when it comes down to it, Terence Crawford has more tools in his bag that he could pull out a close victory. But can Shawn Porter win this fight? Absolutely, this is a fight that Shawn Porter can win. If we get the Shawn Porter that we saw in the Errol Spence fight, although I don't think that was the best Errol Spence. Matter of fact, I know that wasn't the best version of Errol Spence, right? But that was one of the best versions of Shawn Porter that I ever seen. Or if we get the Shawn Porter that we seen in the Keith Thurman fight, that might have been the best version of Shawn Porter that we've ever seen, arguably, right? If we get that Shawn Porter, yeah, it's not crazy for me to say that he could pull out a victory against Terence Crawford because Terence Crawford, no matter what we want to say, he has never fought the type of opposition of Shawn Porter. Yeah, you fighting the Igis Kavalaskis of the world and Jeff Horn, who is not very good at all, and you fighting the Benavidez, and Benavidez is a really good fighter, but he was injured, He had been out for years with an injury, and he came back and he had a clear knee injury. So, yeah, you fighting these guys, they are solid opponents, but they not on the level of a Danny Garcia, a Shawn Porter, a Keith Thurman in his prime, Errol Spence, and, so on and so on. They're not on those guys' level. You never fought the upper echelon of opponents at 140. At 140, Victor Postal was your best opponent. Arguably, to this date, maybe the best opponent on your whole resume, right? Victor Postal. And at 147, we got to say maybe Igis Kavalaskis is the best opponent on your resume. For namesake, you might say Kell Brook, but Kell Brook, we know that Kell Brook was pretty much a shot fighter. When you are pretty much knocking somebody out with a jab, we know that he hurt Kell Brook with like a half hook, half jab. And then he went on to finish Kell Brook off after that. That wasn't the same Kell Brook that we saw in the Errol Spence fight. That wasn't the same Kell Brook that we saw fight Shawn Porter. That wasn't the same Kell Brook that we saw Triple G. So these are the arguments that people have when they, get to talking about Terence Crawford's career. Now Terence Crawford has a chance to show everybody that whatever they were saying negatively about Terence Crawford's career, hey, he could prove everybody wrong. And anybody that have any doubt about Terence Crawford, this is the fight that he could prove everybody wrong, right? They promised the knockout, and I want to see, to be able to prove everybody wrong, he gotta go in there and get Shawn Porter up out of there if he wants to separate himself from the pack. If he wants to separate himself from the rest of the guys at 147 pounds, that welterweight division, where we got Manny Pacquiao, we got Errol Spence, we got Shawn Porter, we got Keith Thurman. When Keith Thurman, I don't know what Keith Thurman is doing if he ever come back. We got Jerron Boots Ennis on the come up. We got Virgil Ortiz on the come up. We got Danny Garcia. I don't know if he's going to 154 or if he's going to fight at 147 still, but y'all get what I'm saying. If he wants to separate himself from the pack, this is the fight to do it. Because if he stops Shawn Porter, nobody can tell me, no, I don't care who you are. If Terence Crawford goes and stops Shawn Porter, can't nobody tell me that he should be number one pound for pound. And can nobody tell me that he separated himself from the pack in the time being. Now, we all know that if he gets past Shawn Porter, the biggest fight in boxing, besides the heavyweight division, right? The biggest fight in boxing is Errol the True Spence whenever he comes back from his injury in Terence Crawford, right? So I say from the time being, because right now, if he knocks out Shawn Porter, to me, he got a leg up on Errol Spence. And everybody know I'm a huge Errol Spence fan, but I'm not a fanatic. I'm not a fanatic of no boxer. When I talk this boxing, I keep it all the way real all the time, right? And I'm a fan of Terence Crawford. I don't like some of the things that he's done in the past, but you can't deny his skills in the ring. So if he can go out here and stop Shawn Porter, he will separate himself from the pack. And he will be number one at 147 pounds for the time being, in my eyes. Now, until Errol Spence comes back and they make that fight, yeah, Terence Crawford is going to be that big dog in the division because he did something that nobody else could do. Shawn Porter's fought all them guys already, right? And none of them could stop Shawn Porter. None of them could really hurt Shawn Porter like that. And so, yeah, Terence Crawford, the ball is in his court. Now, do I think that he's going to stop Shawn Porter? Absolutely not. That's me. That's my opinion. I don't see nobody stopping Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter is a dog. Like I said, I think this fight is going to be a very close fight. It's going to go to the scorecards, and I think that Terence Crawford is going to edge the fight on the scorecards out. And, you know, he might win 8 rounds to 4. You know, it might be closer than that. So we don't know. But I'm going to go with Terence Crawford to win the fight. But I like to see, you know, the build up to this fight. I like to see what happens when see both of these guys training and what they looking like, you know, on the come up to this fight. And we still got to hope and pray that we get this fight. We still got to hope and pray that we get this fight. We got to wait for tickets to go on sale. And then when the tickets go on sale, we got to hope that nothing stops the fight. You know, we got COVID and everything else. We know how boxing has been. So I'm not going to get too excited about the fight until the fight is very, very close. So with that being said, let me know what y'all think about this. Let me know, do y'all think that Terence Crawford is going to stop Shawn Porter, right? Bo Macker's promised it. Terence Crawford's camp is promising it. And Terence Crawford is saying that he's going to stop Shawn Porter. So let's see, you know, what goes down. First, let's pray that this fight really do happen. And hit my like button. Sub to the channel. Once again, hit the like button and sub to the channel. And y'all already know how I do. There you go, talking that boxing again. And I'm gone.